We're here today to talk about real estate.
Hello and welcome back to the Real Estate Unlimited podcast. My name is Sierra Steinmetz.
Brian Schuby.
Carrie Steele.
Bill Jones.
And we're the Jones Home Team.
And this is episode 37, and that was fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
You killed that.
I try my best.
You did a good job. We're getting into, Carrie's got some, what are you talking? Not coastal living.
Like
Waterfront living, right?
property.
Yeah, I was trying to, sorry, blanked on that then. Shub, you got some goodies on how people find agents. I love that. So that'd be some good information, which I just glanced at your chart, which I guess surprised me and didn't all at the same time. So we'll pull that up. Sierra, you're going in about commissions since the change like August 17th, but I think that article went further back than that maybe too. I was looking at that one as well. And I've got a couple goofy ones, so I'll stick around to the end to hear those. So I'll kick it off here. Carrie, what you got?
Yeah, I'll go pretty quick here. There's quite a few things to cover. So when you think about this time of year, people are thinking about, the kids getting out of school or maybe spending a holiday weekend at the lake. So people are searching for lakefront properties. Ideally, you look for lakefront properties in the wintertime when nobody else is looking for them. But people's minds tend to shift when you start
that's when
mowing.
Everybody wants it.
Yeah,
it
you
gets
start
nice
mowing
out.
the lawn, and you have to start thinking, it'd be nice to be able to just get away for the weekend. So whether it's your camper by the river or a lakefront property or even oceanfront property, there are some things that are different than traditional home sales. There's some things to pay attention to. So one, you want to start with the right agent, because not all agents are well versed in lakefront property or waterfront property. Like for instance, do they know about boat slips? Do they know how dock and easements work and those kinds of things? So you want to get an agent who understands lake life, as I put there. The next thing is insurance. We have that around here with the Sandusky River.
Right.
So insurance is going to vary depending upon where you live, of course. But if it's waterfront, now you're looking at, is it in a floodplain?
Mm-hmm.
Is it an area that's prone to flooding? Both the house, the property, and any of its contents.
Which makes a huge difference on your yearly premium for sure.
Yeah, did you see, was it Michigan? Oh, I'm sure it's happening all over the United States, but Michigan, I feel like there's some dunes or some houses that they went through with a drone and they were showing like all the erosion, and it was like almost all the way up to the house, and it's just like cliff. I mean, it's completely dropped off from the erosion.
So it's like the deal in California, I think a lot of times too. There's no more ground there. It's just they're literally hanging.
And it's not like it's 10 or 15 feet where you can backfill it with Shuby's pond dirt. Like it's literally like a cliff that just drops off. So yeah, more than just curb appeal. So you're talking about maintaining bulkheads. You're talking about maintaining, even just, we were talking about soft wash a couple of episodes ago. You're going to get mold and mildew on the side of your house way faster, when you're lakefront property or waterfront property. And then usually you're surrounded by nature like that. So you've got, upkeep of the gutters and all those kinds of things, keeping your windows sealed. And there's just, especially at Lake Erie, because they get all those ice jams, and you've seen it all the way up where the ice is like up against the house, like they're like water's like moving in towards the home. So that's pretty crazy.
Which you go into the break wall. The Kelly's friends of theirs that teaches with them bought a house up there, and they had a huge break wall. They had to bring in like these massive boulders to build all that up there. So the guy that was selling the house had just put like $100,000 into this break wall, and it gets worn on constantly. So you figure that's something most people aren't going to expect. You're spending a premium on a waterfront home, and then to have to worry about the break wall maintenance. And I know even some of the nicer developments up at the lake, they put in those steel piers, and I mean, you can spend $100,000 quick on a lot of that stuff, to where it's not like you're redoing the kitchen. It's just you're maintaining the property is all it is. There's no real aesthetic feel to it or anything, but
that's probably why some of those properties get left in the 70s and 80s. They decorate, they leave all the decorations the same, they leave all the paint and the curb appeal kind of the same, because they're putting money into
the outside. Just this picture here, just this cute little, I mean, it doesn't look like much, but I mean, I'm sure it was a lot of work, a lot of money then. So,
and resealing that, I'm sure they have to reseal. I don't know if the end part there looks like it might. No, it's all wood. Just maintaining that wood.
Yeah, no, water's hard on things.
Yeah.
Lake, ocean, all that stuff. That's that same house was the same thing. He had steel shutters so when he was gone or a big storm was coming in, he'd roll these like at a convenience
Like
store, you'd see
hurricane
like a hurricane shutters almost. So all the neighbors would watch this one house. So when this guy, he's been on the water forever. So when they saw him batten down the hatches, they're all like, oh crap, it's going to be real this weekend. We better get ready. So,
local regulations. So check the zoning, dock and water, I guess usage, and that also goes in with your HOA. So you want to make sure if you're allowed to use a boat that has a motor besides just like a trolling motor or kayaks, because there are inland lakes or ponds kind of thing that you have to get either the HOA approval or they don't allow it at all.
Right.
You know, where it's just a fishing lake, or it's not truly a recreational lake because you can't really do jet skis and that kind of thing. But check, because if you're banking on putting in a short-term rental, Airbnb, Vrbo, all those kinds of things, and you want to rent that out, or even if you and your families want to spend time there, you better check to make sure that you're getting what you are signing up for.
Yeah,
because it'll be really hard to back out once you're signing that.
Yeah, we're getting a pontoon boat and a couple jet skis, and you're not allowed to have anything like Lake Mohawk. We've talked about that a bunch of times. I mean, there's a nice little lake, but you can't do anything. You're not going to be jet skiing there. So.
But then I've also had buyers that are like, we want a lake that's quiet. We don't want the weekend boats and I want to
know where you were going.
I want to trigger it. But you know, the party barges and the you know, the screaming and the fun, which is a great time unless you're
Why would you want to be on the water if you couldn't do all that stuff?
I know. I guess
maybe when I'm older.
Want to read, if
cranky
you're
old man like Brian, then I can.
If you're retired and you just want to relax by the water. Water quality. God, that's a big one. We live in Tiffin, Ohio, the water quality labs right here at Heidelberg University. And you would think, I don't know what the rules and regulations are of all of that, but you would think we would have figured out what's going on at Lake Erie by now. But I will get myself in deep water for going down too big of a hole.
Yeah.
But water quality is huge. And if you buy a property where it's not safe to get in the water, it's not safe to swim in the water, Lake Erie aside, there's other places like Florida where the temperature gets so high they get that brain-eating amobia or whatever.
Oh, the amoebas?
Amoebas. Yeah, it gets to where the water quality is not safe to swim. So if you figure, I'm buying a property because I want to spend all my summer there, you know, the kids are going to be in the water, we're going to get those rollout rafts and bring up the dinghy boat and just really have a good time, and you can't because 3 months out of the year it's algae or it's too high. How much water are you actually going to get to enjoy? And is it worth
just to look at
$1 million investment?
Maybe that's what happened to me, a brain-eating amoeba in Florida. Yeah,
I think you would probably be dead.
Yeah, maybe.
I was going to say, I don't know. The financial picture, we talked about that. So not only is it going to come with higher upkeep, but it's also going to come with, higher costs for property taxes and maintenance of the community. Mm-hmm. So maybe there isn't a strict HOA, but there's still a community expectancy, I guess, to keep and maintain your home a certain way.
And those HOAs are usually a lot more for something like that because they're doing break walls and docks and community beaches and playgrounds and all the things and insurance.
Yeah. So make sure that the numbers work for you. So just because you go on, Zillow and find a house at Lake Erie for $247,000, it's just a little cottage. It's not just $247,000.
Yeah. Might need a $100,000 break wall and a dock and all the things.
Yep. Look at the environment and wildlife, snakes, mosquitoes, all those kinds of things, which we're in Ohio. We don't have to worry about too much of that. But if the property that it's on, maybe the water is really low, so you can't bring boats up into the area that you're trying to. I know there was a couple of areas in Lake Erie that are higher and lower, and it's affecting the property values.
Sure.
I'm not going to point out where they are. It's not my job to do that, but there's definitely some property values that have went down because you can't get boats in where you used to be able to get boats in.
And that's a semi-recent change in some areas, too. There's some of them, if they don't dredge them out or can't dredge them out, then, you can't utilize a dock anymore. You have to extend a dock out further, then you're getting permission from everything else then, too, to make all that work, if you can even do it.
10, 15 years. And that makes a huge difference if you're trying to buy a vacation home or a family home that you're going to live in for a long time, for sure. I guess we could beat all of these to death, but making sure the property matches your lifestyle, which what we just talked about, is making sure that if you're trying to get away to a quiet location, you don't have jet skis and vice versa. And then final thoughts, just make sure that if you are going to do this, if you are going to buy a lakefront property, number one, you've got the means and the financial backing to be able to do it, but also that you are working with a credible lender that understands waterfront properties and how you get to close, because you could get into inspections and appraisals and all that stuff with people who don't know what they're doing in lakefront property or waterfront property, and then your whole loan falls apart because they didn't realize this, or that.
All right.
So
yeah, part of it's in the flood zone or whatever.
Yeah.
The insurance is way higher than you thought. So
Yep.
yeah, there could be a lot that come up with that.
So
I think it
ask
all
your
goes back to
agent.
get a good agent that knows the area, knows water, knows what you're going to have to do with that. So
Yep.
you know what they say, the best lake house is the same thing as the best boat, is you find a good friend that has one.
Yep.
And then just go visit them, and then
right.
you don't have to pay for it, take care of it. So
Amen.
Michael, you buying a lake house anytime soon?
I think he said yes.
Yes. I think you did too. All right, cool. Well, I guess, and it depends too. Like you kind of covered it. River, lakes, the big lake, ocean. I mean, we have no ocean around us, but I mean, they're all different, but
Yep.
they all have things to consider.
Pond,
so-
streams, quarries,
Yep.
stone quarries.
All right, cool. Get a good agent. We'll put it there. Brian, what do you got? Speaking of getting a good agent, how do people find an agent?
Yeah,
This
just-
kind of blew my mind.
Couple of I guess I got another graph then as well, but I'll kind of go and touch base onto this one here a little bit then. So methods that sellers and buyers use to find real estate agents then, so you can kind of see there. So just a couple of, I guess, points that I pulled out from a couple of these graphs then. So 39% of sellers chose their agent through a referral from a friend, neighbor, or a relative. So not necessarily from a referral from an agent, but a recommendation from a friend, family, or relative then is how 39% of sellers chose their agent then.
So then, but if you pause right there, everything else doesn't matter. Like, doesn't matter what you do, how you advertise as we're talking to the agents now. Like, so what do you do to get in front of somebody? Sounds like you have to have somebody refer you. Or
I mean,
you're
I
done
think
for.
I think we kind of see that, we could go market or, show everybody exactly what we do, but ultimately, I mean, how often do we lose out to another agent just because
they knew them
they
or
knew
yeah,
'em?
somebody else? Yep.
I mean, we may offer a lot more for, what the value we're giving is, but like I said, I think, we've all lost deals to somebody just because, hey, I knew them or they were a family friend
Yep.
or something like that.
Yeah, they're going to trust a recommendation way more than, let's see here, the magnet and the calendar. You spent so much time, money, and energy crafting and creating and spending a ton of money getting it out there. One person or 1%, maybe it's going to call someone from the magnet versus, their brother says call whoever. And
Yep.
You're
I
in.
mean, and again, so the next one down, used agent previously to buy or sell a home. So if they've used you before, they're a little bit more, I guess, prone to use you than not. I guess that depends on how that experience went. But and then
why do you look at Sierra when you said that there?
just looking around.
No, she looked
looking
right.
around.
Like, how was that experience? It must not have been good because we're not.
But I would say
kitchen
those. I would say those two. I mean, just compared to everything else, is significantly higher than. I mean, the
Yeah.
rest of the rest of the items on that list. And
Which kind of goes to, I mean, the old thing, the know, like, and trust you thing. So if they don't know, like, and trust you, then they know or trust their relative or friend or whatever who's making a recommendation. So I don't
So
know.
if you're not getting business, you suck.
Yeah,
Dang.
nobody knows, likes, or trusts you.
Knows, likes, or trusts
better get some more friends.
Yeah.
So I can't just go home and put my pajamas on and go in recluse.
Nope.
Go
And
home,
start
put your
sending
pajamas
magnets
on,
out.
and send out magnets.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
that's what I'm gonna say.
Darn, I guess
But, like,
that's
we-
what I'm working.
Talk with all that stuff though. It's not one thing. It's kind of everything.
Sure.
So yeah, maybe they heard somebody, but then they also look, oh crap, Brian's magnet is on my fridge, and
top of
kind of
mind.
reinforce all the things to where, and then they saw a web post, they saw a Facebook page, they saw they saw this video. So
Yep.
Kinda reinforce
My
everything.
next one was the other one I said.
Oh, the
26% of sellers use an agent they had worked with before. Repeat business is huge. Staying in touch with past clients can obviously lead to future deals. So I think what you're saying about the fortunes and the follow-up.
Yeah.
So just following up with people, even if, you've sold them a home or you helped sell their home previously, I mean, just continue that follow-up. Maybe,
Right.
5, 10, 15 years from now, they'll be like, hey, we need an upgrade or we need to downsize. So
yeah, you got to keep in front of them.
Yep. So, like I said, that would be the other one. And then I think the other graph, Bill.
Let's switch that.
I guess it wasn't necessarily that one, but kind of. So sellers rarely shop around. So a staggering 81%, I guess that is, 81% of sellers hired the first agent they contacted. That means it's crucial to respond quickly, follow up consistently, and be ready when someone reaches out to you. So
speed to lead, right? You got to get a hold of people fast.
And then younger generations, among sellers aged 25 to 43, a growing number are finding agents through social media. So I know we put a lot of money and energy behind our social media.
Let's go back to this chart here. What did this say for social media?
Social without a save the agent social media. Oh, that's save the agent social media page.
Oh, here we go. 1%.
So
be interested to see what that happens in 5 years from now.
I mean, it's got to be high because we get a lot of not the same, but like the Google PPC ads. And I guess we're running a direct ad to somebody looking for things like that, though.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think a lot of the, obviously the younger generation uses a lot of the more social media. I mean, we're all on social media, but not as probably much as they are. So, yeah, like what Carrie said, in 5 or 10 years, what is that going to look like? I guess my argument with that would be, so they get the recommendation from somebody, somebody they know, like, and trust, or they, I guess, stumble across you somehow. They're probably going to go look at your social media page and see what's this guy all about, what's this gal all about, what are they actually doing. So if you've got
it's like dating,
right? Yeah,
you have to stalk them.
You go stalk them. If it's all pictures of them and their dog or their cat and zero real estate, I think you don't want to, I guess, hound that stuff to death, but you want to make sure that it is out there and relevant, I guess. So, and
then my only other one. So sellers across all age groups value trust, familiarity, and reputation when selecting an agent. So
right.
Like I said, just, I guess.
Familiarity.
Yeah. Familiarity. I can't
say the word.
A brain amebia.
Gotcha. Yeah, we're just killing all the words today then. All right, so what's our takeaway from that? So you need to somehow get your name in other people's mouths so they're recommending you, and then,
yeah, we talked about that once. Are you allowed? You can't pay for leads.
Like you can't pay for a referral.
Right. But go have a cup of coffee with your friends or somebody who did refer somebody to you. Keep that connection because obviously they think highly of you.
Right. I mean, and a lot of people would appreciate you just write them a nice little note. I mean, whatever. Call them, thank you, text, email. I mean, I do it all the time. I'll just text somebody, hey, thanks so much for the referral. It's just. It's not me sending them a $50 gift card, but it's
really I cut a check for $5,000.
Yeah, right. So yeah, that's tough. I don't know, because the guy today was just trying to sell ad stuff to us this morning. So should I show him this chart and say, well, unless you personally, sir, are going to recommend us to your friends and family, your ads aren't going to do anything for us. I wonder what the other is. I don't know. It was like 11%. It's way more than magnets, though. But yeah, this doesn't surprise me at all. The very first agent they go with. I mean, we find that all the time with buyers, sellers.
I think that's how most of us get started. Is if it's not friends or family,
that's right.
You're
speed to
keeping on leads and stuff, and they don't have an agent or know anyone that's an agent, and then they just go with you.
Or they had an agent. They're one of these 74% that didn't, or 84%, whatever. I can't do math in my head apparently. That had an agent and forgot who they were. How many times have we heard that then too? It's like, oh yeah, we bought this house from I don't know, somebody. She was really nice, but I don't remember who it was. Yeah. So yeah, just keep it in front of them. Cool. All right. Well, what do we got next? And Sierra, you and I you had something here. I was going to piggyback off of here a little bit.
That Inman article.
Oh, I'm all over the place here. There we go.
Okay, so there's this article published on Inman talking about buyer rep requirements and how whether or not that's affected commissions. I feel like we probably have all of our own opinions on whether or not it has affected commissions, and I think it's pretty different across the board. It depends on the situation. Obviously, when you have a buyer rep agreement get signed now, you have to have a certain percentage on that agreement that, again, if it comes down to that, can be negotiable, but at the end of the day you can't make more than whatever is on that agreement. So that's something to always keep in mind with buyers. But then that goes into, are you going to be more competitive as a buyer's agent if you're having them sign for this amount or this amount, even though it doesn't really matter because 99% of the time it's not being paid by the buyer. So yada yada, all the things.
Yeah, we beat that to death. I feel like we beat that to death last week. If you want more on that, check that episode. 36, whatever it was.
So like I said, I feel like we see every deal at this point I feel like is a little bit different too. If you're in a different area as a buyer's agent, you are probably getting a different percentage, and obviously it's never been a fixed rate, and it isn't a fixed rate. But I know we definitely see trends too in the surrounding areas that may be different from exactly where we're at locally. But there was a study done, and it found that commission rates have come down a little bit nationally over the past 2 decades, which people were assuming was due to rising home prices. And I guess the average in the late 90s was about 3%. And in
just talking on the buy side commission, right? Yeah.
One side, yeah.
And then in 2023, the average was 2.7%.
Yeah.
So, not huge, but it could be huge. It does add up. And depending on price point, that is quite the difference. And it says in 2002 they were largely clustered at 3%, while 20 years later there was more of a spread at 2.5 to 2% rates, which I think is more of what we see now.
Right.
Is the 2 to 2.5 on the buy side. If you're lucky enough to get 3, at least where we're at,
Yeah, it all depends. I think it all goes back to the price point.
And the price point,
yeah,
because I had a mobile home.
Difference.
I had a mobile home that was priced well under $50,000. I'm not going to give away the dollar amount, but well under $50,000, and it should have been a pretty flat rate. Like, I'm going to work for this for X because the amount of time that I'm going to have invested in this, that the brokerage is going to have invested in this, is not worth a percentage of what that is.
Right.
So even hypothetically, if it were, a $10,000 mobile home, at that point the 3% doesn't make sense. A flat rate does.
Right.
So
and that goes for like lots, anything lower price like that.
On the other hand, if you're working for, a $2.5 million farmland, you're not going to charge 6, 8, 10%.
Right.
Because it's, such a high price
higher
point.
price point to work with.
And other brokerages, are going to be desperate to get a hold of that and be willing to work for less on it.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Then the other point that I wanted to touch on was in the study they had been talking about how low commission properties tend to stay on the market for longer and are less likely to sell, which I don't know how I feel about that verbiage, because it's not really the commission. It might just be why it's that price, whether it's a fixer up or whether it needs a lot of work, whether it's
maybe it's just priced wrong altogether.
Yeah. So that I can't necessarily,
or it's like cash only,
right?
Like you can't get a loan for it,
exactly.
So it's going to sit there till the right person can come in and
I don't think
actually
it's
buy it.
I don't think it's agents being like, well,
no, I'm not doing it because it's only 2.6%. Yeah.
Something like
now
that.
we don't even know what the
we don't.
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know until you even get into it. So
yeah. Have you guys? I don't think I've ever once there's
like
been some
I've
been some I've been less excited. Like, oh my gosh, I'm giving up my entire Saturday to make $12. Like, this isn't really.
I'm gonna tell my buyer, be like, oh, sorry, they're not offering me enough money, so we're gonna go look at other houses.
But
and that's how they presented it.
But I'm sure it's happened though.
Oh,
some
100%.
Because they've used examples like that. But again, we'll just pick on the California people. You know what I mean? Our gals at the Oppenheimer group, we'll just pick on them. I don't, you know what I mean? Do they do that? Like, I'm not doing that.
But if you have 30 cookie cutter houses and they're all exactly the same and you have to do process of elimination and they're all in the same neighborhood, why not start with the lowest commission, But
if you're used to working for $100,000 commission in every deal, then, but even still, like I've never once, I've been less excited. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Some are more excited than others, but
and it's always
we're better than that.
Right.
Yeah. It's always the ones that you're getting like a 30% referral, or it's like a $25,000 price tag that are the most work, inevitably. So
yeah, generally the more work is the less money. That's
here's your $647.
Right. But to go
3 months of work.
Back to that, I just don't think it's ever been. I think that argument is there. There's been some examples of that, and that's how everybody then perceives us, as greedy agents. Like, oh, they're only looking out for themselves. But I mean, at the end of the day, we need to feed our families. But it's not. You're going to go help your client get them in a home. Yeah. So that's nuts. I had the same articles here. I was a couple notes I had was, I think you already hit on it. I think what stuck out to me, the biggest difference in price was probably prices going up. So we kind of talked about that then as well. So since the prices are going up, you maybe don't need to charge as much then. So maybe that commission rate has come down. But they kind of looked at where, we're agents steering, to higher price commission homes versus lower commission homes. But even now with this new agreement, you're only getting paid so much. And again, I guess if a seller, even in our market, we've had sellers that are just like, I am not paying a seller commission. I'm not paying a buyer commission. And if the buyer can't pay it and we've been working, I mean, then someone's probably not going to go show that property. It's not like, not our choice. Not like we're not showing the home because you're not offering it. My buyer can't pay the amount we agreed to. So we need to put that in the offer. And if you just simply refuse to put that in the offer, then you're probably not getting your house shown.
That's right. But that's the one thing we're allowed to discriminate is if they don't have the money. If the buyer doesn't have the money and we know it's not going to close, what's the point?
Right. I mean, again, we're not discriminating with that, but it's just more like, I'll still show you the house, but I mean, we'll see what happens then. Yeah. And I think we did have on that one, the guy wouldn't offer anything. I think we still wrote an offer back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it never went anywhere. They're just kind of a difficult seller altogether. But
well, you'll see that in for sale by owner where they're like, they have a sour taste. They're like, I'm not working with an agent.
Right.
That's how my FSBO talks. I'm not working for an agent.
Yeah, they all talk like that, I guess. So we beat this to death in the last episode then too. It all looks at the net dollar. So if you can talk to that seller, what number do you need to get away with, or do you hope to get, and can you get close to that? So yeah, go check out that episode if you want. Rehash that. I'll get all fired up in that again. So right. So, and again, too, we talked last week, what would be the difference ever since August 17th? I really do want to pull numbers from a full year to see what that difference, if any. I think it's gone up. I don't think it's gone down any. So, this went into, this is all about the pricing. Yeah, so I think we covered everything with that. So, I think there'll be more to come with that. So, all right, so could real quick, I just found this before we went on here, this $30,000 lockbox thing. I don't know what they didn't really talk about the lockbox was, but they're talking about luxury listings. So all us agents want to be luxury agents. We don't want to deal with the high-end homes and stuff like that, right? You know what I mean? That's the dream they sell on HGTV, but they're going on. If you have an expensive listing, they're saying, making sure you're there to make sure the house presents well. So if there's if it's just a regular house and just 4 walls and a roof, there's nothing to it. But if you're at some high-end home, which we don't have many of those in our market, go in there and make sure the water feature's working, make sure the ambient sound is on in the background, and maybe not even have a lockbox on the property. I thought was kind of cool, but I can't think of many homes in our market that would be.
I don't know. The first time I showed your house out on 6, it was like food in the crock pot, and there was spa music playing, and all the lights were on. Yeah, it was a very good experience. So
that would be, so if you're a buyer, that first impressions, you walk in with that. So, but I think in our market though, if you're showing up to the listing to show, and I'm there, like, you're like, what are you doing here? Like, well, why are you here? If there's some reason to do that, I think in here you could probably get away with, if there's something the other agent needs to know, maybe let them know beforehand, or have the seller turn the water feature on.
The dogs are in the crate or cage, or don't let the cat out.
Maybe not so much our area, but if you're working in some high-end area, you want to make sure you're doing that. So
you know what? I'll keep that in mind. Let me manifest.
Yes. So we'll work to that then. Okay, Sierra. Well, actually, Carrie here too. You'd be super interested in this. So could I interest you in a home? This is in Seattle, I think is where it was then. So it's called the Mount Lake Spite House. Looks nice. It's only 800 and some square feet. Looks cute. It's over 100 years old, I guess. They must have done some remodeling and things like that. But it sits on a corner. I don't know if you can see, if you'll just look online here. If it's on this corner, they said you can never build a home on this lot. So the neighbors were fighting them. The city was fighting them. So this guy said, I'm going to show you, hold my beer. I'm going to build a house on this impossible lot then. So it is at widest up front. I'll go up to the front picture. So here is the front door.
Oh, but it looks so cute.
Here's the front of the house.
Oh, never mind.
It's like 50. It's like less than an arm's length across.
He followed the rules.
And then tapered it back. So this is the back of the house then too.
See, that looks cute.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad at all.
I would look at it. I'm not going to lie.
But would you pay $799,000 for it though too?
No, I'm sorry, I would not.
Maybe again, I don't know the Seattle market at all, but maybe that's cheap.
That might be really cheap.
Yeah, so I thought that was super cool. I got a picture, another overhead picture.
They did cool things with it.
But yeah, they showed a drone shot then of kind of what this place looks like.
It looks like a commercial building.
Or like AI. Oh yeah, it does look like.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a real drone shot or not. Yeah, actually, it probably is.
Yeah, it looks like it.
So yeah, that's a house. So it's 55 inches up front, and it goes to, I don't know how far in the back then. Not very wide though. It was
like barely
15 feet wide. So 15 feet wide back here, 55 inches up front. So it was fighting with the city, the neighbors, everyone, and he said, "I'm gonna build it here."
Where are
so
they business in the car.
Partying back.
It has 2 off-street parking spots. I don't know where, but it said it in the description. Maybe I don't know if it's back here or where it would be then. So that one just. It's
That's
from
goofy.
Zillow Gone Wild, I think is the.
Love that.
Is that the thing? Yeah, Zillow Gone Wild. So I want to explore that a little bit more. There's all kind of fun stuff in there.
I feel like we could do a whole episode on Zillow Gone Wild. Do you guys wanna?
Yeah,
You wanna do it?
We probably
We each
should,
get our
so.
little special Zillow Gone Wild.
It's like
Do they
show
just-
and tell with
I've-
your Zillow Gone
Yeah,
Wild.
I've never really looked at it. I guess they just have a ton of
It's
different
so-
random
Oh,
sites
don't
and
get
things on it.
started.
Yeah.
It's way too late in the podcast
Okay.
for that.
Yeah.
All right. But I thought that one was fun. But yeah, just under $800,000. That could be yours.
Perfect. That's
Right.
what I was hoping for.
And then, okay, social media here. This was just kind of a stupid fun one here. No news is no press is bad press, I guess. So this guy put himself out here, real estate agent, goes on Reddit. And I guess there's a Reddit column called Roast Me. So I don't know if it's going to pull up here or not.
That's so brave.
Let me see if I can
That's
find
like the
it.
new thing with AI is having like bots and stuff
Oh, it's not
roast
even going
you.
to work.
Yes, my family members were doing that on Easter. And
That's
it was
so
so
Nuh-uh, really?
funny. Yes.
On Easter.
It was so
That's
funny.
terrible.
They were like posting them on Facebook too. They were hilarious.
There was a real estate group that did that, I think. There was like
A
was
roast me thing?
Yeah, there was I don't know, probably like 12 different agent. Like there was a whole group of them.
Oh
No,
my gosh,
we
that's
should all
funny.
find
Good
an
time.
awful picture of each other and bring that to show and tell too of just
I'm worried.
Chat GPT roasting
And
us.
just have it doing that here. Well, it's not going to pull up. Poor guy. It's hilarious, but I can't
Well,
find it right
next
now.
time.
So you'll
But
save
we
that for
will.
next time. But it's fine. I didn't even know that was a thing. The whole Reddit roast me page. I got a picture of Brian we'll throw on there. So
Perfect.
we'll go for for next time. So, all right. Well,
All right.
that's, we got anything else? That's probably plenty.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
We went all
Yeah.
over the place there. Talked about lakefront houses, commissions, how you find your agent. So, and then, a tiny house in Seattle. So we'll wrap it up there. That's episode 37. Check on back number 38 next week. And I don't know when we're going to do our roasted. Save that for episode 40.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll have to do something fun for that
Love
one then.
that.
So
Love
check on
that.
back
Love
there.
that.
Catch you next time.